Your article starts with Chris Borland a month after retirement being approached by the NFL to take a drug test. What was his reaction to that, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, my brother Steve Fainer and I, we spent, about 5 months with him, and this was one of the things that Chris talked about was he had this moment where he gets a text from or an email from the league saying he needs to be tested for drugs, and of course this is over a month after he's retired, and one of the things he said is, look, I don't trust the NFL, and that was his reaction as well. Like, am I being set up? He doesn't want to be a conspiracy theorist. He's a smart, thoughtful kid. At the same time, he's thinking, look, if I don't take this test, even though I've retired, and somebody leaks that I passed up taking a test, there's going to be a message that I actually am on drugs, that I failed a drug test, and that obviously would ruin him and suggest that that's not really, he didn't really retire for the reasons he said he did. So what he did was really amazing. He decided he would take the drug test, even though he had retired, but then also on his own go and pay $150 and get an independent drug test just to make sure that he could confirm what his results were with what the NFL said they were.
This decision to retire, very personal for Chris Borland, but it has gone so far beyond him. He's become like the face, the standard bearer for the anti-football movement. How comfortable is he being cast in that role?
I don't think he's terribly comfortable. It's a really interesting dance for him to do, and I think we watched that over these 5 months we spent with him. I think Steve and I were both struck that Chris very clearly says, I don't want to be that flag bearer. I don't want to be telling people what they should do. I love football. I'm not suggesting it be banned. Yet at the same time, I think what's interesting with him is he's going to answer questions that you ask him, and he's going to be very honest and direct. And he now more than ever is free to talk about the sport in ways that I think he wasn't, largely because he had to compartmentalize the violence to be able to play it. And when you hear him talk about it now, he's just very clear-headed about saying it just seems too extreme to him. The idea, as you heard in one of the sound bites, the idea that you would have to sort of play the sport less in order to minimize the damage strikes him as being problematic, not of the player, but of the game itself. And so I think he is, by virtue of the statement he made, which of course is like a rejection of football, becoming this activist, but I think he's very reluctant to be the guy who's out there saying this.
In the piece he talks about he doesn't really want to watch football even. It's tough for him to look at. The Niners right now in training camp in Santa Clara, or they may have just completed it. Where is Chris Borland right now?
He's in Europe right now. He's on a sort of European vacation. In many ways, he's like any college kid. He's 24 years old, and he just spent a year in the NFL between college and now. So he's on a European vacation, trying to sort of experience life and see. He's in Prague, I think, we spent some time. Steve spent some time with him in Ireland and Scotland. He says he's not going to watch. It was an interesting conversation about whether he'll watch or not. He said, I'll watch only to see friends, but I'm not comfortable just watching to watch.